Okay, so today we are gonna talk about dividing responsibilities. And you see this line right here? That is the boundary of responsibility, 50-50. How do you do remote partnerships? And we're going to talk about that because I get that question a lot. Um,
Yeah,
Long story short, there's no one size fit all, and it depends. Okay, all right, next topic. No, but to give you a better concrete example, um,
yeah, Angelo and I guess we can talk about our remote partnership because I live in New York and Angelo lives in California. So that's about as remote as you can get from like coast to coast. Um, I think that would be really distracting in the actual video. So let's not do
whatever.
that again.
Just don't cut it. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Um,
You can cut this part out though.
okay. No, I'm just gonna fucking start over. I don't want that in there.
Just no, you can just cut this part out. Like when I zoom my eye in, you can just kind of cut to the
Oh my
part where
god.
you start.
Okay, so Angelo and
Jesus.
I live in New York, and Angelo lives in California. So we have a pretty about as remote of a partnership as you can get. So when we first started out, we were both like living in California, right? And so I decided to move to New York for personal reasons, um, and at one point we were like, oh, so how do we really split up responsibilities and maintain like a fair partnership that we have? Um, and so obviously, like there are things that Angelo has to do that I can't do, right? So that kind of has to fall on his burden, on his like share of responsibilities, such as anything that like requires being there in person, um, anything that requires like having to hire people to pass off keys and like train them and stuff like that. Um, so that I agree is like a lot of work to actually have to like drive out to actually go meet people and like spend his time to go build a business. Um, do you agree, Angela?
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Um,
So for me, what I decided to do was that I would pick up like as much of the um, responsibilities for like doing online things as much as I can, or like find other people to do it and like delegate them across. So that includes things like Airbnb postings, Craigslist ads, answering inquiries, Facebook inquiries, and whatnot. Just a lot of like people management is falls on my plate because you can do that on your phone, and you don't really need to actually be there in person unless something bad happens. Yeah, so that's about our delegation of responsibilities. But I think we also have like a good partnership in terms of the strengths that we bring to the table. And Angelo can expand on that a little more as he's expanding his eyes into my soul.
did you know that before you get into a traffic accident, or if you're startled, your eyes pop open like this, and that's so that you can absorb more light, and your reaction time becomes quicker. Anyway, yeah, side tangent. Stop. Side tangent is stop. Side tangent. Yeah, I mean the strength is like we're both INTJ, which means we're both very socially inept. But and we are both very more process oriented rather than system, or more, yeah, process and system oriented. So like we're very adept at building systems as opposed to um, maybe someone that is more typed to just only focus on results. However, if you're into the Myers-Briggs stuff, then I will. Then if you're not into Myers-Briggs stuff, then you can fast forward like 15, 20 seconds. My subtype is completely opposite, ESFP, which is basically when I interact with other people, it's in a very, very extroverted way. But how I process data internally is very process and system oriented. Okay, so that's why it is more like I am more quote unquote sociable, and people say people are surprised when I say I'm an introvert. Um, but basically, yeah. So my strength is kind of more dealing with people, going to meetups, things like that, and kind of Andrew's probably little bit more like system process oriented than I am. So I mean, so naturally he was able to build the system up with virtual assistants, give them all these checklists, things of that nature, and me, I was kind of coming up with high level ideas. So I know we are redoing this video because we had audio problems earlier, but to give an update, we had this huge problem with our camera being installed in one of our units, our Airbnb getting shut down overnight, our winter reservations that we earned vanishing overnight, and like me coming up with kind of high level abstract points, ideas, and kind of pivot. So now we're pivoting and kind of these high level visionary kind of ideas, like the strategic, kind of like broad strokes. I like thinking about, and I like kind of like split testing, trying things out. Yeah, so that's
I gotta like emphasize that that was pretty good for what happened to us, and like Angelo was very quick to like come up with ideas about how we could pivot and how we could like lessen our burden. And I don't know why you're doing this. I feel like this would be very
so
distracting.
funny. I don't know. It's hilarious.
Like, why would anyone want to watch our crap?
Because you're talking. There's good content. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, but like they're just like distracted by you, and I get distracted by you, and we just stop talking about the content.
Keep going.
I forgot what I was talking about.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So yeah, the strengths is so I can keep focus, and Andrew has ADHD, and he just distracted by me zooming in my eye. Yeah, you said you were emphasizing on that point.
Oh yeah. I was emphasizing on when we had our like Airbnb fiasco. That Angelo was very quick to come up with like ideas that we could try out, and things that we could do in the future to prevent like being in such an emergency. And normally, like a lot of these ideas come from him because I think he like spends a lot of time thinking about like strategy and how we could do to like not be in such a saturated market and stuff like that. So that's definitely a strength that I see valuable in like a partnership that I don't necessarily bring to the table.
And then it kind of just falls naturally because all of these high level ideas that require prototyping does require like an in-person interface. For example, we're quote unquote selling these units to other arbitrageurs that want to do this, liquidating kind of our furniture, kind of keeping whatever profits that we did before this whole Airbnb like camera thing happened. That does require prototyping. We can't like straight off the bat sell unit remote because you couldn't do the trust issues and things like that. We do need like a system kind of built around it. We want to basically have someone remotely get our lease, even if we manage it for like let's say 10%. That's probably something that we don't want to do right off the bat, right? So right off the bat, I do need to hand the physical keys to someone that wants to take the unit over for themselves. I post on like these different Facebook groups, like specifically saying like no remote management. So if you're not in the Bay Area, don't message me. Of course, I get messages from people outside the Bay Area, but that's kind of the internet. Yeah, I think that's all on the partnership kind of side, but just to go back to high level, I want to just talk about, it really depends, right? It depends on your personality type, it depends on your strengths, it depends on your partner strengths. A lot of people, when they hire VAs or when they partner up with someone or when they try to find new people, they always analyze people in the negative, like they can't do this, they can't do that, they blah 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 blah. Okay, but what can they do, right? Like that's a more productive way to vet someone because like people on your team are going to be people on your team. So why don't you leverage your strengths as opposed to focusing on their weaknesses? I think this like being able to have a partnership really emphasizes the strengths of both parties as opposed to saying like, oh, this person can't do that, why don't we get better at that? It's kind of a waste of company time for them to like build those skills from scratch if they're not naturally talented. Because I mean, obviously, if you're hiring someone, or partnering with someone, they obviously got as far as they did for a reason. So yeah, just I would say yeah, just it depends on your strengths and your partner strengths, and in terms of hiring your VA strengths to see where to place them, where to put that chess piece to maximize to extract the most value out of that person, so you can kind of win the game long term. But yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, cool. That was good enough about partnerships and how to find like a good partner.